Hey there! I thought I would make a quick video to review the concepts that are required to join the 8 p.m. class. So I'll do a little bit of talking, but mostly this is just a drill to help you remember what to practice. All of these moves are covered at different points during the 7 p.m. curriculum. And of course, you're always welcome in class to ask questions about any of these moves if you have one that you're trying to practice and need some pointers. So here we go. So first off is snake arms. And I should mention with many of these movements that are, especially the undulations, side undulations and body waves, there are a ton of variations based on different stylizations that you'll find in different branches of belly dance. So we use lots of different stylizations of all of these. So we're not looking for a particular variation or flavor. We're just looking for the ability to do the movement, and then on top of that you would be able to add various flavors and variations. All right, so snake arms. With snake arms, we want to make sure we are leading with the elbow on the way up and on the way down. All right, next is belly rolls. Everyone's favorite difficult to do move. So we have two different directions, up to down and down to up. So here's our up to down. We want to try as best we can to keep the rest of the body still. There are variations of belly rolls where you would allow the skeleton of your body to move. Those are generally a little bit easier. So we want to go for the hard version first, where we keep our skeleton very still. So I'm thinking about pulling in and then pushing out in an up to down wave. So then of course we have down to up belly rolls. Now I'm thinking about coming in from down to middle to up and then pushing out, down, middle, up. Same thing, keeping your skeleton as still as possible. These moves can be practiced on laying and sitting. Sometimes that can help you. Takes away the fact that your core is working just to hold you up if you're standing up practicing your belly rolls. So related to the belly roll, either direction, is the body wave or undulation. So down to up undulations, if you imagine a wall, we're touching the wall from back, from rather bottom to up, literally bottom to up. Or in the front too, touching the wall, touching the wall, touching the wall. So down to up undulations are composed of a hip wheel, and a ribcage wheel. And one or the other can be more or less emphasized. So that was all down to up. Let's go up to down. So now we're touching the wall in front of us from top to bottom. Same thing back, top to bottom. And the up to down undulation is composed of, again, two wheels. The upper body wheel and the lower body wheel. And one or the other, or both, can be emphasized in this move. Good to practice both of them, trying to hold the opposite part still. Okay, so next, sidewinders. Sidewinders are another type of undulation, but we're using the side of our body instead of the front and the back. So we have sidewinders that go up to down. So stepping out so you have somewhere to put your weight. Head, rib cage, hip, head, rib cage, hip. Let's go back and forth. So that movement broken down is composed of hip figure eights, in this case down to up, and ribcage figure eights. And you can think of this in a very broken down way. Let's leave the head out of this variation. That's always possible. So we're going to take the ribcage and its down to up wheel. And then this hip and its down to up wheel. Ribcage followed by hip. And you can involve the head or not. I said opposite of what I was doing. So then we have our down to up side winders. Again, you can involve the head as much or as little as you like. We do definitely use both options in our choreography. So here we've got our up to down hip figure eight, starting our move off, and our up to down ribcage figure eight, finishing the move off for us. So the hip starts out up to down, and then the ribcage up to down. Hip up to down, ribcage up to down. Let's go back and forth a few times. Keeping the head upright first. And then let's use the head as a little sway at the end. Fun way to practice these, segmented. Hip, chest, head, or head, chest, hip. Taking away the smooth roundness of the movement. Okay, now we've got vertical eights, which we just covered as part of our sidewinders. So remember, with vertical eights, it's helpful to practice thinking about just one hip at a time, making a wheel or a box, go both directions, and that'll help you when you try to smooth out and put together those two hip wheels that are happening. With the rib cage, watch for twisting, i.e. we don't want to go back or forward as we try to do our figure eight. We want to stay flat to the front. That applies to the hips too, of course. Also, shoulders are just along for the ride. They're not trying to help out and make the movement bigger. Okay, then we have our hip 3/4 and our hips and feet with different timing. So now we're all hips. So for our 3/4 shimmy, on the up, we use a walking hip lift. So I'm going to step, and that same hip's going to come up. And then I'm going to use a combination of my obliques and that knee I'm standing on to lower the hip a little bit and then come right back up to where it was. So we have a weighted lift and then a second lift. Lift, 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 step, step. Super useful to get that other foot up off the ground right away. As soon as you step, other foot up, other foot up. A drill to help you with this puppy is standing on one leg and doing the hip movement without any weight shift. Up and up on one side, up and up on the other side, up and up, up and up. And of course, just getting super comfy with your walking hip lift. So walk around everywhere, always doing that. Your other 3/4 shimmies are both reliant on a hip on the down. So that's the opposite of what we were just doing. We're going to step, that hip's going to go down. So we can put an unweighted drop before or after our step that has the drop. So let's put it before. I'm going to squeeze my obliques to prepare, drop, and then step and drop. Drop, step and drop. Drop, step and drop. Drop, step and drop. Again, super useful to get that other foot off the ground as soon as your weight shifts. That's going to help you when you try to speed it up. You want to feel like you can step normally and not that you need both feet on the ground at all times to do those hip movements. So we were going and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That's the timing for the Hagala shimmy. Typically the Hagala has a little twist added onto it on the step. So we'll go and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Hagala. Other option is the over shimmy. So for this one, we're going to take our unweighted hip drop and we're going to put it, actually it'll be weighted, we're going to put it after the step. So we're going to step and drop, that's our hip on the down, other foot is up in the air, and then we're going to let our hip come up a little bit and then send it right back down. So we're going step, drop, 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 drop, and drop, drop, and drop, drop, and drop, drop, and drop. 2 ways to practice that. Both of them are useful. One is thinking about pushing that hip that's going drop and drop out on the second drop. So I'm going to go drop, drop. Try to push that hip out a little bit. Drop, 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 drop. A little bit out, down, out, down, out. You can also think about pushing your hip out right away on that first weighted drop on the hip on the down. So now we'll go out and drop again. Out and drop, drop again. Drop, 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 drop. This is 1E and 2E and 1E and 2E and. All right, so last thing is getting your feet uncoupled from your hips in terms of timing. So the drill we often do in class to that is pick one hip and pick up or down. You want to do both of those at some point, and you want to do the other hip up and down both. So I'm going to pick this hip and I'm going to pick down. So this hip is going to get 4 downs for every step I take, whether I'm stepping with the same foot or the other foot. So this hip, I'm going to step and step, step and step. Again, super useful to get your other foot off the ground as soon as you can, ideally right on that first beat that you step on. So with 2 drops per step, 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 step. Forgot if I was doing ups or downs for a moment there. 1 step per drop. 1 step per drop, yes. Drop, 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 step, 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 step. So pick your other hip and let's try ups. And then you would want to do downs on that hip and of course ups on the other hip to fully practice this drill. So other hip, and now we're going ups. 4 of them per step. I can't snap with this hand, so up, 2, 3, 4, step, 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 step. 2 drops per step, 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 step. 1 drop per step, 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 up, 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 step, 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 step. Woo! That is the requirements for level, except for group improv. So throughout the 7 p.m. curriculum, you'll see various stall movements. I will point you in this post to the video that'll help you review those as well. You see them most nights toward the end of class. You'll start to see them toward the beginning of class. This next session we'll use them for part of our warm-up too. So feeling comfortable following that group improv vocabulary that you see in 7 p.m. And also starting to get comfortable with the idea of leading, how you would lead, timing, maybe dipping your toe in the water and getting a little leading practice during level 1 when we ask for volunteers. If you have any questions about any of these moves, if you want a longer video about any of them, I can find others on YouTube or make you one, and have fun practicing.